If you're here right now, you're wondering if you can eliminate risk through a strategic brand architecture. Is it possible? Let's see. The vast majority of businesses present their products, service, and offerings under one single entity, a parent company. And in most cases, this is an effective structure. But you might be finding yourself with a maturing brand. A maturing brand often coincides with a growing suite of new products, services, and offerings, which broadens the target audience and in turn dilutes the message. So this is where brand architecture strategy comes in. Brand architecture strategy helps marketers determine which products can be introduced into your brand. So basically, how can we diversify your brand portfolio? Customers will never stand still, so brands can never stand still. We need to respond and are never as quick as customers. Know your brand really well. The first step of the brand architecture strategy is to diagnose your brand portfolio. This is key. And how do you do that? Define your brand potential. Understand. Why does your brand exist? Is the potential of the brand believable? Understand who you are. What are your boundaries? What are your limits? Go back to your points of difference and points of parity. What set you apart? What do you have the same as other companies? The second step is to analyze your current brand hierarchy. Look at how it's built out right now so that we can see how to improve it. To correctly analyze your current brand hierarchy, we need to start with identifying your brand opportunities. Look around you. Do you have a SWOT that you can look at? What are your weaknesses? What are your threats? Look at your companies around you and what opportunities they're fulfilling and what you can do as well. Okay, now that you know the opportunities, start branding your new products and services, the ones that you made from the opportunities you identified. So as I mentioned before, a maturing brand will want to have more than one entity or a parent company. So what are the three main architecture types? Branded house, which will be a master brand with well-defined products or service offerings that are tightly related to how the audience consumes those brand offerings. Examples of a branded house would be FedEx, Google, Apple, Virgin. Then there's House of Brands, which would be a brand like Unilever, which has a rich portfolio of sub-brands that range all the way from food to hygiene products. House of Brands structure often try to make new acquisitions and products part of the master brand with marketing and communication strategies. They also maintain a distinction between overarching companies and organizations of their own. Other examples can be P&G or General Motors. But keep in mind that this brand architecture is recommended when an organization attempts to target different audiences with unique propositions and products. Does your company fit this? The third most common would be the hybrid brand architecture, which is a mixture of two or more types of brand architectures. So this is typically used when a company is changing their brand architecture or when they're acquiring a lot of existing brands through mergers or acquisitions. Think Coca-Cola or Marriott. Before you start jumping into what type of brand architecture you think your company can fit into, I want you to consider a couple things. Think of your brand equity. What is your strength and flexibility per brand? What about your culture and values? Is this something that can be easily duplicated? This would be something that would be important for a branded house approach, for example. which demands all entities have the same culture and values. Have you thought of a growth strategy? This should be a front of mind when you're determining what type of brand architecture you want. Will you have mergers, acquisitions, or alliances? This, for example, can help if you have a hybrid. Make sure it all aligns. And last of all, think about the market that you're in. How much disruption can you endure? Remember, this is going to be costly, so make sure that you look at this carefully before taking the decision to have a branded architecture. A strong brand with a solid brand architecture fosters growth for growing brands. Well, now it's time to really decide on what's best for your company. Remember that a maturing brand is going to want something that is more than the parent company, the single entity, something that will not dilute the message. So remember that these type of brand architectures provide opportunity for next level brand management in which the brand speaks more directly and more specifically to each segment. Thank you for listening, and remember to subscribe or click on the link in the description box to see more content like this.